And you're welcome back. Let's tackle a disturbing trend that has claimed countless lives and eroded our communal values: the rise of ritual killings and the Yahoo-Yahoo epidemic in Nigeria. Driven by an insatiable quest for wealth, these heinous crimes often target the most vulnerable, turning human life into a disposable commodity. Recent investigations have uncovered alarming connections between ritual killings and socio-economic factors such as unemployment, poverty, and societal pressure to achieve wealth at all cost. Our discussion today will focus on these chilling realities and the steps being taken to combat this scourge.
So joining also two distinguished guests, Popoola, a leadership coach, SP Bright Edafe, the public relations officer of the Delta State Police. We'll be expecting that they'll join us soon. And also, I'm being told that we have joining us a anonymous repentant, let's use the quote, Yahoo guy, as it's normally put in plenty of texts. He'll be joining us, but he'll be staying anonymous. So we're expecting that you'd understand that when we begin, that will be the format we'll be going with. So let's welcome, first off, Popoola, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. A very interesting topic here that we'll be talking about today. First off, let's ask what your professional overview is on the instance, the prevailing instance we have here in Nigeria where people want to engage in these kinds of crimes.
Good morning to both of you, and thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here again, albeit virtually. It's so sad and it's so shocking. I mean, when things like this happen in a community, in a space, and a country, the whole community, this whole society is obviously, we're all shocked that how could we have raised this? Obviously, I will be coming in from an early years background. And it all boils down to, again, over and over again, I say this when it comes to early years childhood studies. It's shown that if we have good early year childhood studies and we have with a lot of parenting guideline, emotional stability, good environment, we're definitely meant to raise incredible young adults, sensible adults into the society. Don't get me wrong, while statistics have shown that 80 to 90% of children with good backgrounds would in early years and so on would definitely get to that height of being the good adults that we're looking at, you still have the small percentage. And this is where educators come in. But when we talk about educators, we're talking about including parents, not just the teachers, but first and foremost, they must know what they're doing. How do we address things like this at that young age, that when they do grow up, they grow up to be that adult that would not, unfortunately, get into a state of a place like this? So we're talking about teaching children integrity, teaching children honesty, teaching children financial literacy. And it may sound like things we're talking about now, but you start from that young age. It's only when you start from that young age, you're guaranteed a sensible grown-up adult. And don't get me wrong, here you do have environmental, social environmental influences and all of that, and you have peer pressure and so on. But at the same time, sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I wanted you to, round up your submission, because we also have another guest who's with us. He's going to stay, he's asked to stay anonymous, but we're just going to refer to him as a repentant Yahoo-Yahoo guy or fraudster, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, with the increasing cases of young men, young people that are now engaging in online fraudster, 419, Yahoo-Yahoo, or pursuing get-rich-quick schemes, what do you think is driving this behavioral pattern that we're seeing? And it's now been normalized recently in our contemporary times.
Do you know what? If we don't teach children, if we don't teach people about delayed gratification, you want that thing of like get rich quick. You don't understand that delays are no denial. Or you teach children or people about financial literacy, or the whole thing around resilience in terms of everything you do. And failure, it's normal. You normalize failure, that it's okay to fail. That's just another way of you learning how to do things differently. So all of those things we talk about, they're so relevant when it comes to raising children, young adults in the community. That's why people get into, I want to get it quick. What are their friends doing? I want to be like my friends. Who said you have to be like the Joneses? You don't have to be like the Joneses, but it's the teaching that we start with our children and you instill in them values. What are your values as a family? Have you discussed your values with your children? Do they know what you stand for? Do they understand honesty, excellence? That it's okay because we have a lot now, it doesn't mean we don't have to spend it all. Delayed gratification, all of those things are so important when you're raising children.
Okay, so Caroline.
Yes, the economy has a lot to do with it.
So Caroline, you've drawn a very sharp relationship between early childhood education and also well, people choosing to go into these kinds of modes of attracting wealth later on in life. Now, is there something wrong with the system currently, the way we raise our kids here in Nigeria? Is that it? Does it need restructuring? I'm going to let you think about that. I'm being told that we have our other guests on with us right now. So while we're getting him prepared, well, I guess you can go ahead with answering that one.
Okay. Right. So because I want to come back to Nigeria and I want them to let me in.
Forgive me.
Across the world.
Forgive me, Ms. Popoola, I must apologize. We're being informed that SP Bright Edafe, he's the Public Relations Officer of the Delta State Police Command, has now joined us. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this with us. And also with us is, of course, the person who has chosen to stay anonymous, none other than the repentant fraudster. We're going to keep the screen blacked out for his sake. Let me ask you, Mr. Anonymous, I have to ask you, your experience, what spurred you into, fraudster, Yahoo-Yahoo, and tell me about the lifestyle.
Okay, good morning to you, and thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, it all started back then. That was, let's say, a decade ago. So then it was not like this now. Then we see it like something, we can always earn money from. It was like fun. It was not something so serious to the extent of going into rituals. At some point, it was very easy. You just go on the internet, you just do one or two stuff, and you get what you want without thinking negatively. But it was not right, though, because I see that traditionally our rulers have failed us. Religion have failed us. So besides this, some of the children lack proper home training. There are no integrity. The parent didn't speak integrity into their lives, no values. So, but now as we speak, it is something else. And also, I will not blame some of these boys who are doing this because they lack proper home training. They didn't tell them at the early stage on what to do. And besides, they see some of their uncles that were rich,
right?
That they didn't even go into rituals. Then they had genuine money to help the family. So some of them, because of this depression or oppression, so they decide to
Edafe. Forgive me, Mr. Anonymous.
Please, are you listening?
Yes, I am. Mr. Anonymous, I wanted to ask you, was that your own story? Because you said at the time, 10 years ago, people entered it for fun, and it didn't get down to ritual killings in quote or causing, murder or trying to go to any means to get rich quick, even if it means the lives of people in the balance. What spurred you? Was this your case? Was it wealth? Was it a desire to be wealthy? Was it family circumstances? Was it peer pressure, seeing your friends doing it, that you wanted to do it? And have you ever been pressured as well to be, or seen people around you who have been pressured to want to go the full length of committing crime? In terms of crime, I mean murder.
Yes, you just said something now. Then, sometimes it depends on the environment you find yourself. Sometimes the environment will influence you to do one or two for yourself. Yeah, it was not like a by force thing. We just see people do it and we just felt, okay, this is what is happening. So let's just do it now. So what's there? So we just keep on doing this thing, and before you know it, we become exposed, to this internet stuff. And that is how it is. I really become, I was like almost a guru. I did things on my own without anybody. So, I mean, it's funny these days, the way it is happening. I don't really understand the ritual stuff that is going on everywhere. I mean, I don't get it. Then it was not like, it's for fun. I see, it was just for fun. We earn money, it was not like we were earning money to revenge, you know. We were earning and we were eating. We were going out, we were doing our stuff. We were even working. So, but now it's a serious business. People go into it for different reasons. I don't even understand the youth of these days. They just spoil everything. So it's not like this, and it shouldn't be like this. So it's not something you want to tell me you want to make money from, and you want to bully everybody. It's
Very
like
interesting, Anonymous.
It shouldn't be done that way.
Okay, now, Anonymous, just give us a second here. Let's talk to SP Bright Edafe. SP Bright Edafe, thank you for joining us this morning. You have been in the eye of the media recently because of your numerous exposures on matters like these. I remember one where you told about a lady who had actually requested sums of money from her parents after visiting her boyfriend, and they now staged a kidnap plot. Now, does this narrative that our anonymous former fraudster does it key into most of the narratives you've heard from the people that you have arrested that have, perpetrated these kinds of crimes?
Okay, I listened to him with rapt attention, and everything he said is correct, except for the last part where he said it is for fun. I don't agree it is for fun. It is actually not for fun. You don't go into crime that can springboard to ritual killing, drug abuse, cultism, even go as far as escalating to kidnapping, because it gets to a point where this money stops coming. Like the boyfriend of that lady who paraded, you know, it's not everything we put out there. The boyfriend is a Yahoo boy, or a suspected Yahoo boy, who at that time was no longer getting money, and that was how the girl convinced him that let them tell the parent that she's been kidnapped so that they can get money. So you see, when they have gotten used to this luxurious lifestyle, they forget that there is no shortcut to success. So when the money stops coming, all that comes to their mind is make it at all costs. I have seen the ones who use the produce of Yahoo and buy AK-47 rifle. So what do they want to use the AK-47 rifle? It is to decorate their sitting room. So when he says it is for fun, I do not agree. But when he said yes, it leads to other crimes, which include ritual killing, is absolutely correct.
Right. And I've also been informed that our head of our chief bureau, the chief of our Abuja bureau, there we go, none other than Amadi Uyi, who has been on the story of Salome Adaidu, who was murdered in Abuja, also is joining us as well. Amadi, we must say thank you for being with us since 8 a.m. and down to this very hour. And before now, you were sharing the story of Salome and all that you uncovered during that time. Just a bit of refresher for the SP who's here, who's with us on this call, and also to the former fraudster, and also to our guest, Ms. Popoola. Just a bit of recap for them.
Okay, we investigated the story of Salome when we saw it online. We tried to reach the family. We spoke to the sisters. She's from a family of 6, 5 girls and 1 boy. She's a 7 youth corper. It was from the family we heard that she was a family youth corper, and she was meant to pass out in March. And then we also tried to investigate circumstances surrounding her mother, investigate a profile on the profile of the alleged. I'll call him alleged ritual murderer, because it's been downplayed on social media that it was maybe a relationship that went bad. But from our investigations, we found out that the young man had no permanent girlfriend. He has been seen, he was always being seen with multiple girls. at different occasions. He didn't have any friend. And then the story that he was murdered after they had an argument is totally false, because not only was she murdered, her body was dismembered. Several parts of her body had been separated for food, so sort of like cannibalism. And then the morning when he was apprehended, he did not give himself up. He was going to deliver that head, the severed head of Salome, to an unknown person before the Okada, the motorbike which he had entered. The bike rider accosted him, and when he got to a populated area, he called on people to come and apprehend him. So there's been so much falsehood that she was his girlfriend and she was cheating on him, as he claimed in a subsequent video, which was not related or connected to our findings. We also heard that due to his behavior, he had been disowned by his parents for several years. The place he worked early this year on the 3rd of January, he had been sacked because of attitudinal issues, problems. He would not be corrected. He had breaches of certain conduct. So these were the findings we uncovered about the young man.
Amadi, thank you for that. Your final remark there was, the last statement there was that he was sacked from the school that he was working at, a secondary school that he was working at, and it was a boarding facility where that had female students, all right, girls, underage girls who were in boarding in the hostels, and he was sacked because of his behavior towards those girls. And so it begs to ask the question, I'm coming to you, Ms. Popoola, for this question, about educators, about our community, and also parents as well, and guardians, how they can also be, you advise to them to be on guard when it comes to underage girls and women. Now, I must say that I'm asking this question simply because everything we uncovered was that there were suspicions, there were suspicions about his behavior, but it had to boil down to somebody getting murdered before, the authorities had to step in. Your take. Ms. Popoola.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, the end part of this conversation that the reporter, I've not even heard that at all. The fact that he actually worked in a school, that's serious. That's a safeguarding issue. How could you have someone like that around children, around young, vulnerable children? That's just unheard of. Again, it beckons the school needs to be investigated. What measures have you taken to investigate this, to check this guy out before you employed this guy into your into your school? That means you've had all the children, all the girls at risk. So the school needs to be investigated. What measures are taken? So, but if you heard what the alleged Yahoo guy said, the anonymous person, again, it boils down to what the parents are teaching. It boils down to the fact that peer pressure. It boils down to the fact that as a community, we're failing our children. We're failing our people. We are failing as a community. If you know right and you start to do right by the people around you, by your network around you, that will cascade into a bigger network. And gradually, this good values and peer pressure, conversation, resilience, and teaching our children would literally go around the whole community. Our schools talking to our parents. We're not talking to our parents. If parents had not, so if we had known that this person, this young man, has been disowned by his parents as a result of whatever it is, the behavior, where he was employed would have known those history. What's his past history? What did they know about him before they employed him? So all of this stuff, and that could have, yes, it's so unfortunate that this young lady is gone, but it may have stopped it. We never know. It may have been caught earlier. So there's a lot to be done from the government downwards, but it starts with us. I say this every time I get the opportunity to come up. It starts with us. It starts with me and you now. We can't blame the government. It starts with us. We are the government.
Now, SP Edafe, I have to ask you, right? Martin is here as well on this conversation, and when he spoke to the family of Salome, they were talking about, thorough investigation and, bringing more, information as to what really happened with with their daughter, their sister, and their family, their loved one. Investigation. This is very heavy stuff we're talking about. The role of the police in thoroughly investigating this issue. Your answer, please.
Well, I am not the police public relations officer for Nasarawa State. However, I know the police will do due diligence, and in the end, everything that transpired during, before, and after will be unraveled. That I am very, very sure of, that justice will be served. You see, criminals are usually hardened, and they don't just talk from day one. If you watch his first interview, he said he did not regret killing his girlfriend. Later, he said he regrets. So you see that there are things that are coming up, and they will continue to come up. I believe after some time, in his own quiet time, he will reason and decide to open up to tell us why he did what he actually did. But I don't want to miss this opportunity to say one thing that I always say, and I think that's where there's a missing link. If you see a mother that has 2 daughters and 2 sons, you will agree with me that while they are growing up, if the sons disappear for 30 minutes and 1 hour, they will not look for him. He's a man, he can take care of himself. But if he's a girl, the mental alertness, the rate at which you train the girl child is top-notch. But why are we leaving the guys to go astray? Because we just assume that they will be okay, and they will not be okay. Now, this innocent girl has died because of a guy that was not properly raised. Saying they disown him, to me, that does not take the blame away from the parents, because we are a product of what we're given when we're growing up. I always tell people that a bride is a product of a family, it's a product of a mother, a product of a father. I know how I was trained. When I was coming up, my father cannot come to work and catches me playing football. That's why till today I don't know how to play football. I'm not saying playing football is bad, but they taught us the kind of value that when you are supposed to be reading your book, you should be reading your book. When you are supposed to be in school, be in school. When you are supposed to be assisting your mom in the kitchen, assist your mom. There is time for everything. But when we miss it at the growing stage, it becomes a problem. Right now, we're in a menace, and I keep saying it. People may not like me for it. If you come to go to Lagos, come to Delta, go to Port Harcourt, and some of these states around, hotel owners will tell you that they will not sell if Yahoo Boys does not patronize them. There was a time I issued a statement that the EFCC zonal coordinator also came to visit the CP. Hotel managers were calling me that why did I issue that kind of statement, that their hotels now are empty. So that's the problem. They will tell you, PRO, I beg, say if this guy is not patronize us, we will not sell. It is a problem. It is not just about the parents alone. We must come together, because these are supposed to be the leaders of tomorrow. As I am speaking with you, we have 2 cases of ritual killing that I'm here to bring out, because we want to gather out the fact. As I'm speaking with you, we have 2 cases of ritual killing. 2 weeks ago, we paraded another one where the boy's head was beheaded. What is giving birth to all this? It is Yahoo. There's nothing any person is going to tell me. And the annoying part is that this ritual of a thing does not really give them money. But they don't know. All these Apalis and native doctors, they're just taking advantage of their poor mentality. I'm trying to be mindful of the words I use here, but it's quite unfortunate. Our parents need to sit up. There was a time I had an interview, and the guy asked me, what do you think is the problem? And I gave him an instance. I said, let rapture come. Let God take away everybody on earth and leave 5 men and 5 women to come together. Then by the time they start giving birth to children and they all grow and Nigeria remain the way it is, who do you blame? He said it's the parents. And that's the truth. Parents, I attribute 90% of the blame to them, because parents form the family, parents form the community, they form the local government, they form the state, they form the country, and they form the entire society. So parents should take the blame.
SP, thank you very much for that submission there. I want to come to Anonymous and ask him a few questions regarding everything that you have heard, Anonymous. Now, you've heard from the SP, you've heard from Mrs. Popoola. I'm wondering, do you feel that there was a time in your life where institutions might have failed you, and which institution was it? As at the time when you were practicing this, do you feel that perhaps it was family that failed you? Do you feel that it was education that failed you? Do you think it was society that failed you? Do you think it was religion that failed you? Because these are all aspects that our guests have touched on that make people resort to these kinds of behaviors. So for you, what was it that forced you into being a fraudster or a Yahoo-Yahoo guy? Was it family? Was it a failure of family, society, education, governance? What exactly was it for you? Anonymous.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, to be honest, it was family. Yeah, it was family.
Family.
Yeah.
Now, let me come to Caroline Popoola. Now, he has said family. This necessarily doesn't have to do with education or the education system itself. However, I do know that family have responsibilities when it comes to early education. So what restructuring is needed there?
Thank you so much. And I'm glad to hear the gentleman saying that. This is what we're talking about. We're so, I'm not sure, maybe when he was younger, his parents were very rich and all that stuff, and hence he got everything he wanted. But the society we're raising right now, are we teaching them about resilience, even values? And I said that earlier, you start from the basic, which is even conversations like that, about it's okay to fail. That it's normal to fail. It's normal not to get it right. Start with those conversations. So if I was going to advise any parent right now, regardless of what age your child is, tell them, call them, have that conversation. Emotional support is like, what are you going through? I have a 16-year-old that I have a therapy for, but I work with children. But at the same time, doesn't mean I don't listen to him. I have to listen to him. I have to listen to what he's going through, because if you don't listen at home and you don't train them at home, they get the Yahoo boys that will train them. So what conversations are you having with your children? He's just said it. Family failed me. What conversations are you having with your children that would help them in their adulthood, that would deter them from getting into all of these other stuff that people are doing? You need to have those honest conversations with them. Whilst you're not accusing them, but you're telling them that these are the things that are going on. I'm here for you. If you're going through anything, I'm here for you. Be honest with ourselves. Even if a child goes to prison and is sentenced, you still remain the mother, or you still remain the father. You never disown them. They're still your children. So why don't you do the right thing and start with them now, before they get into this thing and other ears are listening to them? Because if you don't do the work at home, the society will do the work for you.
All right,
the peer pressures will get in and kick in and do the work for you. So put your head in. Okay. Family failed me.
Right. I mean, I must say thank you to everyone who joined us on this discussion. It's very well needed. This was needed. Many thanks to Mr. Anonymous, a former fraudster. Thank you to Caroline Popoola. She's a leadership coach. Also, SP Bright Edafe, the Public Relations Officer of the Delta State Police Command. And lastly, to our very own, the Chief of Abuja Bureau for News Central Television, Amadi Nui, who has done a fantastic job making sure to bring the real truth and going behind the story. Thank you, gentlemen and lady.
Thank you.